everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a product review for you guys. So today I'm going to be testing out the Arteza 12 half pan watercolor palette, and I was sent this by Arteza to check out. I have actually used quite a few of their products before. I've also done a review of their Everblend art markers as well as their tube watercolors and their watercolor paper, and this time around I will be testing their pan watercolors. And apologies for stumbling over my words or talking a little fast. It has been a little while since I recorded a video, so I am a little out of practice. But today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of this watercolor palette, as well as see how they compare to the tube watercolors, because I know some people are kind of split on which ones they like more. So I wanted to give you guys my honest review of it, as well as let you know if I think it's something that's totally worth the value. Alright, so to start, this is what the palette looks like outside the packaging. I did already open it. It initially came in a little box inside packaging like this. I have mentioned this before. I do wish more companies would go minimal with their packaging. I don't necessarily think this much packaging was needed, but that is just a personal opinion, though I would like to see companies try to push a little more towards zero waste. That being said, I absolutely love that this is a metal palette. Obviously, that's much more sustainable than plastic is, so I think that's really cool. And it also came with a little travel watercolor brush, and you guys know I love these. I use water brush pens all the time because I'm usually painting when I'm like on the go or when I'm traveling, so I love that this came with its own little pen. I do think it's cute that it's compact. However, if you paint a lot, you are going to have to refill this quite a bit since it's much shorter than your average water brush pen. And I did already fill this with water, but I haven't actually tested it yet. But it seems like a pretty good size brush. Like, this seems like the size brush that I would normally use, so I'm looking forward to trying that. One thing I did notice about this, and if you have a lot of watercolor sets, this might look familiar to you too. This set looks virtually identical to my Jane Davenport set, and this is the Jane Davenport 12 pan bright colors, I think is what it is. Obviously it's a different color and it's very dinged up because I've brought this with me to a lot of different places, but if you look at the packaging on these are absolutely identical. The packaging is exactly the same, and if you open it up, the pans and everything look the same on both of these as well. So I do think Arteza and Jane Davenport probably have the same manufacturers for the packaging, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I love the packaging of this. I just thought that was really interesting. But I do really enjoy the compactness and portability of this. And so far, I haven't tested the quality, but in terms of the color selection, I do like this much more than some of my sets like the Jane Davenport, because this seems to have all of kind of like your base colors, like your reds, your blues, your greens, and yellows, as well as brown and black, which is pretty much all you should need to mix any color you want. If you know basic color theory, these are the colors you want to mix any other color. So you don't have to bring a bunch of colors with you when you're traveling or when you're kind of just like on the go, and I love that. My other watercolor set that I use the most is my Koi Pocket Field Sketchbox, and even though this is still relatively portable, it's obviously much heftier and kind of chunkier than this one is. So I'm hoping I really like the quality of this, because I feel like this would be a great thing to toss into my backpack at any time. So I'm going to open it up and do some swatches to see what the quality is like, and then I'm gonna do a little demo with them to see how they perform. Okay, and for testing all of these out, I'm actually also going to be using my Arteza watercolor paper. I've done a review of this as well. In my previous reviews of the markers and the tube watercolors, I tested it on this paper, and I think it's really good watercolor paper. This is actually probably what I'm also going to be using for my Inktober drawings this year. So I'm going to be doing it in this, and I'm just going to be using the little watercolor brush pen. So I'm not going to need any water to dip in. I'm just going to need a paper towel to wipe off my brush. So that's everything I should need. So let me get my sketchbook ready. Okay, and just so you guys know, this little insert does slide right out. It was underneath the inside of like right here. I don't know if you can see that, but this slid right out. So I will probably keep this handy and just like tuck it in here so I have it on hand until I know all of the color names. But it totally pops out, so don't feel like that's in there just like as a hindrance or anything like that. so these are still drying down, so some of the colors will probably lighten up a little bit, but just from first impressions, I like the color selection on here for the most part. I feel like these are really workable colors. I do love when palettes have greens as well because, I mean, traditionally speaking, the main colors you would mix to create all the other colors are yellow, red, and blue. So a lot of like really, really basic palettes will have just those three colors. And so having the addition of green in here is kind of nice because it's one less color to mix. The shades are a little different than what I would normally expect or be used to in like a basics palette. The yellows are pretty good. I like that there's an ochre right here. The reds are a little interesting to me because even this shade right here, which is supposed to be cadmium red, is a little pink for me. I would normally expect that to be a little bit of an orangey red because you already have a very pink red here with amaranth. This is a nice color addition, but I feel like instead of this, I would have loved to have like a true like orangey red in here instead of like this one, which is a little bit rusty, and these two colors, which are a little bit on the pink side.
You can't tell in the video, but I promise these look pinker in real life.
So that one may be honestly not that big of an issue for me now that I think about it. I don't use a ton of red anyways. I usually mix it to make pink. I don't work with pure red very often. But if you are someone looking for like very traditional colors, this may pose a little bit of a problem to get like the true shades of reds and like mixed colors that you want. So that's just something to keep in mind. In terms of quality, these seem to be performing really well. If you wet the pan just a little bit, you get really saturated colors, which is nice. They water down really nicely. This brush works totally great. It's a good size tip. You'll notice I did already use like half of the tube of water just testing them out, but since I was switching between colors, I did squeeze like a lot of water out in between. So this seems to be functioning pretty well, and the size is not too bad. And overall, I do like the color selection. I think I would change things a little bit, but for the most part, it seems really usable. So now I'm going to do a quick little sketch, and then I'm going to do a watercolor demo, and then I will see how they perform beyond the swatches. I don't know if you guys noticed that while I was cleaning. I just shoved my thumb into my yellow paint, and now there's like a really gross fingerprint splotch in there because it was still wet from testing it, and now I'm really bummed about that. Okay, that kind of took forever to finish filming because my camera ran out of battery and then it ran out of memory, and then there was a bunch of ambient noise because there's actually a bus stop right outside of my house, which is very loud this time of day. But I finally finished the demo, and I just wanted to give, I don't know, some thoughts and my overall review of the Arteza palette. So overall, I actually think I really do like this palette. I don't know if you guys noticed in the pan over of the drawing, there definitely was like some smudginess and some bleeding and stuff, and I do want to point out I don't think that's the fault of the paint. I definitely feel like that's user error. I was a little rushed to do this, and I felt like I needed to get it done, so I ended up laying down a lot of water and then not letting it dry enough before I laid down more colors, and that's what caused the bleeding and the smudging. So don't think these colors, like excuse me, bleed a whole lot, especially because you can see here in the background where I laid a color over these pink roses that I painted. These ones didn't smudge at all, so they really are layered easily as long as you allow the paint to dry correctly in between. And sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. It is the time of day where we get a lot of deliveries, and he does not like our male people, unfortunately. I think the colors are buildable. I did notice the colors felt a little muted in my final piece, but I really do think, again, that's user error because when I did the swatches, they were quite saturated. So I think I just watered them down too much, so just be mindful of that. Now let's talk about pricing. This palette was sent to me, but I do want to be totally upfront about the cost of it. So this particular 12 pan palette does run $24.99, and I do think that's a little bit expensive for a palette with 12 colors. Granted, it is cheaper than some of the more expensive brands, and this is pretty good quality, but if you are new to watercolors and you're trying to find a beginner basics palette, I don't know that that's the best price point for you, but if it's something that's within your price range, I certainly have no problem with this palette. Like, I do think it's very good quality, but there are just so many watercolor palettes out there that you could find something similar or like comparable to this one that's probably a little bit less expensive. If you are interested in trying these though, I do have a coupon code. I will put that up on the screen right now. That is good for 10% off your entire order, and that is valid through October 10th of 2019. So if you are interested in checking that out, I will have a link to this particular watercolor set down below, and I'll also put the coupon code down in the description as well. I do also want to address the differences between the Arteza tube watercolors and the Arteza pan watercolors. So I have tried both. I do have a review, as I mentioned, of the tube watercolors, and when I was doing research on these guys, one of the things that I saw a lot of people mention was that they're good watercolors, but when you like squeeze them out onto a tray or a tube, they tend to harden, and then they can be really hard to rehydrate. So that means it's easy to waste paint, or it's hard to reuse the paint. It's hard to travel with it unless you want to carry a bunch of tubes with you. So a lot of people were wondering if the pan is a good alternative, and I would say it is. Obviously, the watercolor pans in here are dried already. They're meant to be rehydrated, so I don't know if it's a different formula for these watercolors that makes it easier to rehydrate them, but if you are looking for an alternative to the Arteza tube watercolors, this is definitely that'll definitely do it for you, this watercolor set. So I did just want to throw that out there, since I know some people want to compare between the two to figure out which one they should go for, which one they should try out. So just wanted to give my honest opinion on that. And I hope if any of you guys try it out, you let me know what you thought of it. And I wasn't expecting to film my face today, which is why my office is a mess and I am a mess. And also, I did not realize until right now how loud this ring is, so I'm super sorry if you could hear it just like knocking around. Yeah, so if you can hear that, I'm really sorry. There's a hinge on this because this opens up. It has a secret compartment, which is why it makes so much noise, and I love it, but I did not realize how loud it was until I was filming this, so I apologize for that. I'm clearly very out of practice with filming. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, and go ahead and subscribe down below if you'd like to see more videos like this. Go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me know what videos you'd like to see next, and I will do my best to make them happen. And until my next video, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!